Welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat. I'm Jose Otero, and this is IGN's Nintendo Show. And coming up on Nintendo Voice Chat, we've got, the Switch. The Switch is here. What am I doing? The Switch is here. We're going to spend some time talking about it. In the first segment, though, we have some bad news. Virtual Console is not coming to Switch at launch. In the second segment, we're going to give you our impressions, live hands-on, of everything that you see on this table when we cut back outside. And then spoiler-free talk about Zelda, followed by your questions. So here to talk about it with me is Per Schneider.
Hello.
Alana Pierce.
Hi.
And making his new set NVC debut, Brendan Graver.
Hey.
We have
Fancy.
upgraded, right? Remember the dark closet? Nobody's here to
I've
talk
been in
about
several
that.
dark closets.
Nobody's here to talk about that. Everyone wants to talk about no virtual console at launch. So, no, you can't talk about. You can't talk about that yet. What you can't talk.
No virtual console at launch.
Am I fired?
Is more no, not yet. Okay. More.
For those
more
listening to the
important
audio
than this.
version, Per was just hand
She's getting a little grabby.
stroking
She's getting
the
grabby
Switch
with
that
the
is on the
Switch.
table
All
in
right,
front
all
of
right.
us.
Let's start with. Sorry, Sean. If you're in the booth, just face palming. I apologize. We're going to talk about no virtual console on Switch. In a press release today about a specials Nindies broadcast, which could kind of be interpreted as code name for not a Nintendo Direct, but is a Nintendo Direct. This broadcast that they announced that's happening next week on Monday. They said in the press release, virtual console games will not be available on Nintendo Switch at launch. We'll share more information in the future. So our thoughts, I mean, we kind of knew this would happen, being so close to system launch and them not saying a word.
It's such a selling point that if this were going to happen at launch, they would have spoken about it. I think we kind of expected it. What I take from this is it's them saying it's not going to be available at launch means that it might be available eventually. It could mean that they just don't want to shut that door officially and maybe they're not working on it. But the hopeful side of me thinks that this means it's going to come maybe later this year or early next year.
It's. I mean, virtual console is 100% coming to the system, right? Like, it's such a great value proposition to take the games of the past with you on the go, and they just have this tremendous catalog. So it's going to happen. I wasn't actually surprised that it wasn't going to be there at launch simply because they haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
I was for a while worried that eShop wasn't there at launch because Nintendo has done staggered releases, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, so have other platforms before it. It's not like the Xbox 360 launch with all the features that you had at the end of the life cycle with Xbox Live. And so, you know, the big question we all have is like, what's the account system like? Is there anything for people who have owned the games before, or is there something that there isn't, and so they didn't want to have this at launch and talk about the fact that you have to rebuy everything? So we don't know, right?
Yeah, and they were kind of doing this week that they were able to make your own username on the My Nintendo thing. So I'm hoping that kind of leads to like, hey, we'll have a bigger account system going in, and hopefully, like if you bought something previously, you can switch it over.
Okay.
Not to
And
use
certainly your
Switched
money,
it over?
like
They did.
Yeah.
Certainly the money you spend on cards or the money you have sitting in your 3DS will transfer over to the Switch. So the account
Yeah.
system already allows for for the virtual currency to be shared across all the different systems. So that's already another good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whether they'll give us a game for free that we already bought, that's
Yeah, I know you guys
Yeah.
talked about like how many times we bought in Zelda 1. Like
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
single console.
No, and
handheld.
presumably, like, let's call it here. There's going to be an upgrade fee. Like, I don't think there's a world where you are just going to get access to those games and it's going to be at no cost. I mean, if that's not the case, like, please, Nintendo, like, make sure that that is what you're working on and getting done. But I do want to bring up here that this is an interesting move only because we do live in a world now where you can play virtual console games on a different system that you can buy, being the NES Classic. Like the idea that there are virtual console games sort of separated from it. Now, that is not me suggesting in any way,
they
shape,
held
or
it back,
form.
no?
I don't think that's the case. I think legitimately they didn't say anything at the presentation because they weren't sure. And I think now they're pretty damn sure that thing is not, virtual console is not ready. But it is an interesting time because Nintendo has done a lot of diversification over the last year.
Yeah.
And when you look at the NES Classic and this idea of a separate device that people who don't buy Nintendo devices can go get, and get that experience, it just makes you wonder, like what... We know it's coming, and I think it happens in the next 6 months. I don't know if it's the end of the year. If it is the end of the year, I think people would riot.
There's a good reason
Yeah.
why it's not available. I mean, you may not agree with it, but Nintendo is rolling out a subscription service, right? You're going to pay for your online access, and you're going to pay to play special versions of these classic games
With online multiplayer.
With online multiplayer,
Yeah.
and so I do think that factored into the decision making. It's not that hard for them to launch the virtual console service, or even to just have these games purchasable accessible from the store, right? Like, I don't think that there was a technical hurdle to getting this live, but I do think it would have taken away a little bit of that specialness factor that when this plan rolls out, in the first month, you're going to get Mario Kart. I don't know what games are going to be in it, but you're going to get Mario Kart and you're going to play it online. And it's the classic game. And then maybe there may be the ability to also buy it and keep it or something. So I think it'll be more centered around that launch that the classic games are coming back.
We've spoken about this before, Jose, but it does seem like a lot of their marketing strategy has been to roll things out slowly so that people are focusing on one thing at a time. Like, their thesis initially is this is the console that you can take anywhere. It's portable. That's the part they're trying to sell. They're trying to tell us how awesome the Joy-Cons are.
Point.
They don't want people to focus too much on Virtual Console, which, funnily enough, everyone kind of is. That's the thing I really care about.
Because it's missing whenever
Exactly. But it's probably missing so they can focus on the other things rather than just giving us too much to chew on at one time.
But I think the other part of this, sorry, Brendan, I'll turn over to you, is Nintendo behind the scenes finally working on a quote-unquote a plan, meaning that, you know, the biggest complaint about Virtual Console for the past 2 generations of home consoles that it's been on, and maybe even you could say this about 3DS, is the staggered release strategy of like, okay, we have 3 this week, we have nothing next week, we have 2 weeks of nothing, but here we got more in this one. And we saw like different instances where like, okay, now N64 games are around, and now they're not, and now Wii games are around, and it would like just come and go as, you know, the Nintendo roller coaster would just keep happening. I wonder or hope that may be one of the reasons or something that is getting worked out.
Right, that they're trying to fix that ahead of time and decide a kind of release schedule now.
Yeah. I mean, I
hope so.
I hope so too, especially just saying that they're trying to make the first year of Nintendo Switch a memorable one. You know, Brendan, you were going to say.
To Alana's point, I think even with eShop titles, like they are controlling the message where we don't know all of the eShop titles and the independent developers. Like we know, like, oh, we have like a release in March sometime, but we can't say anything yet. And like we're just this week we announced like a Shovel Knight. We finally know a release date for that, and some things get pushed back.
Those devs would absolutely know the release date.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they're not allowed to tell us, right? And I wonder what that reason is.
And I think that they just want to like, let's focus on Zelda.
Yeah.
And then, you know, once the launch happens, and then, hey, there's also all these wonderful eShop titles as well.
Yeah. I hope by April or May there's more to be said. Definitely before E3, because you're not going to talk about it at E3. I think that it would not go over well at sort of this big trade show like event for them to wait that long to say something.
Well, when's the service launching?
The paid service launches in the fall, I believe. Like I'm guessing, like we're talking August, September. Which coincidentally is around the time Splatoon 2 is coming around. But that's paid version.
I'm asking that because I do think like if the paid service, we don't really know yet what it's going to be. It could be pretty freaking awesome, right? We talked about the BS service, the satellite service for Zelda in the past, where you got episodes streamed to you. We don't know what it's going to be. It could be really, really unique and different. And that, if it is, then it makes sense to use E3 as a vehicle to announce it. But yeah, I agree. Just saying Super Mario Brothers is back again for
you
$5
put that on
is not going to
stage
be
or in a digital event, like that's just not exciting. I mean, you could have done that with the NES Classic at E3. You chose not to.
Well, or they come back and they say, guess what? Earthbound is now in English. Like then you have something, right?
That's a fan play, though.
The way I would reveal Virtual Console is by giving us a trailer of all of the games that are coming to Virtual Console, show us a highlights reel of games that we love that we can now play portable, and like have it as something saying you can play all of these games on the go now. And I think that's a really good marketing strategy, but I don't think we're going to get it for a while.
No, and to that point, great point, is just have like all of them ready. Like have as many systems as possible. Come up with a strategy where you are not going through these gaps, or you're bringing up a new system to then throw it away 2 weeks to a month later because you just don't have games to put out on that right now.
I wonder, since with the nature of the Switch, do you think we'll have Wii Virtual Console?
I don't think so. We talked about it on the show before. These do not work the same way Wii Remote and Nunchuck do. And I know some people would say, oh, well, they absolutely do. They have motion control. Not entirely. There's no pointer on this. And some games that use motion sensing as they use the gyrometer as a pointer. There's like a motion pointer, for example, in Skyward Sword. You didn't have to use a sensor bar at all in that game. A majority of the other games did have that. Mario Galaxy, Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah. You'd have to refactor them. Like anything's possible, right? Like could you pull off even like the early pointer games with this? Probably, but you would have to go in. You can't just straight up emulate. You have to change the code.
Yep. Yeah. All right, so other part of this announcement, which was already brought up, but I just want to make sure we get both games mentioned in. On March 3rd, Fast Remix and Shovel Knight will be coming out. So they're both launch games
So
now,
excited.
which is really cool. Yeah, and Shovel Knight will have the latest expansion.
Lego Shadow.
No, Spectre of Torment.
Oh,
yeah. Where have you been?
Yeah, I get them crossed all the time because I really enjoy Lego Shadow.
Yeah, we have a preview of that on the site if you want to check that out. Last week, I believe, Joshua Yell, who did a great job on that.
Do you think? All three seem like if you missed it titles, right? Like it's
totally.
not like you're going in the eShop and you're like, "There's this game you've never seen before." It's like one is a remix, the other we have played Shovel Knight before, right?
But the remakes happened on a system that the audience wasn't there to appreciate it. And we've said on the
Sure.
show that game was solid. I
Sure,
think
sure, no.
having a game like that at launch is a great thing. Shovel Knight, not sure as much the dent it's going to make because it's everywhere, but
Yeah.
we'll see. It's probably the best retro game you're going to get at launch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's without
I
question.
do like that Spectre Torment is like its own thing.
Yeah, it's a new expansion, and you can buy the expansion separately now. So the
Yeah.
original Shovel Knight, Plague of Shadows, and Spectre of Torment. You don't have to buy the Treasure Trove, which is all of them.
Yeah.
I was surprised there wasn't a unique game. Like it kind of like a reason to go into the eShop because there's something that you can only download from,
Yeah, but that's
on,
like
on
Snipper
day one.
Clips. I think that's later in March.
It
you know.
is later, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't
no,
want
absolutely.
to put that up against Zelda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you buy the system for Zelda, so then how much time are you going to have to look at the rest of the stuff? But
All right. Well, we're gonna
I'm
move
getting
on.
it for Bomberman too.
Yep. Oh, that's right. Yeah. You're excited.
I'm a
yeah.
Puyo Tetris guy too.
Okay. All right. So round two then. We're going to basically share our live impressions of the Switch, which we have right here in the office. I'm not trying to taunt you. I'm just trying to show you it's here. We also have a bunch of Amiibo. We've got docks. We've got stuff. I mean, pick up Pro Controllers. Go around. I've touched this enough. Just tell the folks at home what you feel, what you think.
Just feel so
I
sorry
found a
for
hidden
anyone who listens to
compartment.
audio versions of this kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. I'm
We
sorry
are
if you're
touching
listening.
various things. Maybe for this
Maybe
one,
you can
just
hear it as I'm putting it really close to the microphone. You hear that?
Push
yeah,
on the thumbsticks.
well,
I'm sorry, audio listeners.
No, maybe
instead,
just for
Feel
this
that
one, you
thumbstick
should
get
come and
pushed
listen to the video.
in.
What's it?
youtube.com/Nintendo Voice Chat.
Yeah.
All right. So, you got to hit the release on the back on that.
Back.
Lana almost
Watch
yanked.
Alana break it in real time, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And you got
really wanted to
click.
make the noise, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think our impressions, I don't know, you guys got to play it in advance as well, right?
ask
you got
questions.
to try it out.
Yep.
Again, like whenever you pick up the unit, it just feels thin.
It does.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's like you don't expect it to be that thin when you take it out. When you see it without the Joy-Con, you should do that once. Just take the Joy-Con
Oh no, I have
off.
done that. Oh, okay.
and show it to the audience because it's like it becomes. It's an improbably tiny console.
It is
You know,
really small.
and like we're so used to iPads too and iPhones, and they're obviously powerful. But when
And if you
talk
hold it
about
like this, it
consoles-
looks like someone's e-reader. Like,
that's-
and I've
That's
been
the
walking around with it.
size
like
of an iPhone 6 Plus.
Yeah.
Like it is.
It was
really small.
amazing, just like showing like Sam like the screenshots like and Zelda. I was just like flipping through them, and like it looked
bigger.
so like natural.
Yeah.
Not much though. It's crazy.
Yeah, and this is your battery, this is your console, your processor, this is everything except the controller. Couple of impressions to share with folks. I'm not a huge fan of where you slide the game card in.
Yeah.
I just feel it's a little spongy. Can you
Yeah.
touch that?
A bit spongy, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't stay locked in place, which has been a little minor
Oh,
gripe of
interesting.
mine.
Yeah, you're right.
The kickstand on the flip side, you got to put some force to get this
I
in.
felt
You
like
better
I
have
was
some
gonna break
nails.
that.
Yeah, I was
last time.
scared.
Yeah.
Also, kids at home, in case you haven't heard, don't dock it when the kickstand is out. That's bad.
Does it just
it
snap
will
off?
rip off, but you can put it back in. But
don't drive with the doors open.
I
Yeah.
had the same feeling the 3DS covers when I was trying to get them off. Like I think I was going to break them.
Yeah,
Oh,
but at least you don't have to unscrew anything on this
Yeah,
thing. That's
that's a nice
the
change.
saving grace.
I do think a lot of those kickstands are going to break off.
Yeah,
think
no,
they're
there's
gonna get
kids who are
snapped.
just excited. Oh, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Oh no, that can be interpreted in many ways.
But yeah.
On
Little
the back,
compartment in the back.
the dock here. I mean, folks have seen the photography. I'm trying to think of. Okay, so let's talk about experience. So, if you tap the home button on any controller that's synced to the console, it should wake it.
Can I do it?
Tap the home
Are you
button.
gonna
on
get
that.
mad at me?
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna get mad at you.
All right.
All right, so it's on. And at
You know
this
what's
point,
crazy? The idea that we could play this console on a podcast right now, no TV, nothing set up.
well, we have
Like
it.
we can't
Yeah.
do that with anything else. That's insane.
A couple of other small things. It is, and it's something that the past couple of days I've kind of been kind of adapting to. So check this out. You have your battery icon in the top right. Like if you tap that, you're able to bring up the percentage of the battery charged left. It's not like an iPad.
blowing
yeah,
my
it makes
mind
a
right
bunch
now.
of
We're all
noise.
Like, I
selecting
can-
stuff
Yeah,
independently.
if you're hearing noises, like it sounds like weird springs, that's the UI and how it works. It's really bizarre.
You can click the thumbstick in and you get a little Easter egg sound to let you know the system is working.
So I will say that the Joy-Con grip, as awesome as the system has been and playing it has been, the Joy-Con grip to me, I think last night it finally occurred to me why I have felt kind of weird about it.
Is it because
I
you
think
have like hands the size
no,
of boats?
so I think shape, in terms of shape, thanks. In terms of shape,
No, it's not that, but I do.
it's fine. Why
broke it.
And we lost him.
All right.
why do I put up with this? Why? Sean, take the time code. So I think the shape of the controller is fine. I think it's too light. And I think it just has to do with the hollow shell that they decided on for this thing. Now, this is a charging grip, by the way, and the way you know the difference is that it has a USB-C right at the top, and that's used to basically charge the Joy-Con while they're in the system.
So
as
some
long as
of
you're plugged
the
to it.
Joy-Con grips don't have chargers at
The ones that come in
The
the
one
box.
that comes in the box doesn't have that.
Interesting.
And
I didn't know that.
really
yeah, that's still something that's
Wow.
getting around.
That's
believe it or not,
that's one of
for
my
some
biggest
folks.
gripes I had because there's so many things to worry about charging. Like the Joy-Cons need to be charged. Your console needs to be charged. If you're not plugged in,
Yeah.
something's got to be charged,
Yeah.
and they run out.
So you can get the one that comes in the box does not come with the charger, but you can buy a separate Joy-Con grip.
For $30.
Yeah.
Bucks.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
the
charging
only way
grip,
that you can
yeah.
charge Joy-Cons is when it's in the Switch console in the dock.
Yeah, it has to be
Oh.
or plugged to power,
That's
like not
pretty brutal.
necessarily.
Which means you have to
docked,
have
yeah.
another controller that also needs to be
Yeah.
charged,
So
like your Pro controller.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
something's got to be charged.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, weight-wise, that does feel light. It's not as light as I thought it
yeah,
would be
the
when
shape
you just
is
said
good.
that.
Yeah, the shape
Yeah.
is fine. I just
But
think
this
it
feels
could
more-
be. I just think
Yeah.
it could be a little heavier.
I
That's been
thought
my,
that
my
the
beef.
weird, like the asymmetric design was going to throw me off, and it took me like 5 minutes.
When you
to-
say asymmetric design, what do you mean?
Sticks.
sticks
Okay, got it.
and the D-pads and the like, it threw me off for like a little bit, and then I was getting used to it, and then now I'm just perfectly okay with
Because
it.
the angle is different with the Pro controller. Your hand is at a different angle in touching the right thumbstick. It feels a little different. It's a little bit more like the
Yeah.
3DS where you like a
And
little bit
sometimes
you're
like
reaching.
my muscle,
right?
I'll forget where it is.
Yeah.
I go like, wait, it's not here. I have to go
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah, I went through that adjustment, and now I'm just trained to go sort of lower for that analog stick. I will say the thing that I'm not used to is where select is. I'm constantly like, 'cause
Yeah.
in Zelda, when you press the minus button, it brings up the map,
Yeah.
and you need that. Obviously, it's an important tool. And every once in a while, when I'm finally like, oh, I guess I should check the map and see how far I am, I'm like, oh wait, oh, it's up there. There's just that
I mean,
adjustment
they
period.
fit a
with this
lot of thing into some very small columns.
Yeah.
But holding this, I agree that it is super light. The thing that I'm finding slightly uncomfortable, which I know that if I spend a lot of time, I totally forget about, is just that I can actually feel everything when I have my hands on the back.
stuff. Oh yeah, yeah.
If you hold a
totally.
controller, usually you're wrapped around the outside. You
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like I feel like there's like a barrier that's stopping my fingers.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of. Did you ever use the chat pad on the 360?
Yes.
I did. It
Yeah.
reminds me
Yeah.
of that,
Yeah.
where it had that little
It's just kind of
overhang
stuck
in the
there,
space
but
in between.
I don't really think that would bother me a lot. I
Yeah,
feel like
no.
this is a good size, but
Yep.
I can imagine there's totally a learning curve with getting used to how much stuff they've put into very, very small areas.
Yep. When you take a screenshot, you hear a shutter noise, and the gallery is really cool. The gallery feature, the album, it has
you can
pinch
just
to
flip
zoom.
through. It's
Yeah, you
amazing.
can drag. Yep, that's right.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about the touchscreen?
The touchscreen's great, and that is what. When we get to the Zelda portion, it is the one thing. And I guess I'll say it now. It is the one thing about Zelda that I do not understand. Zelda is the system seller. Zelda is this is the game to own a Switch 4, and yet one of the chief innovations on the device itself.
Cheap and chief of very
and
different
cheap.
things.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I'm tired. I have slept like 5 hours.
Yeah, I
the
mean, you
last
were here
2
like
days.
what 10 p.m. last night?
11:30.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
PM. Yeah, Zelda reviews. There, you gotta love them. We were talking about touchscreen. The idea that the flagship game doesn't use it just feels really weird to me.
No, for the inventory.
Yeah, for inventory, for map. Stop pressing buttons. I'm gonna take away your Joy-Con. Sorry. Yeah, not for map, not for inventory, not for anything, which has been. It just strikes me as odd. And I get it. Like, you can make the argument, well, the minute you dock it, like that gets taken away. I'm like, yeah, but I played demos at the Nintendo event in New York, And Mario Kart, I can select courses and do all that right through the touchscreen.
Yeah.
And there are no touch features on either Wii U or Switch version.
I agree. It's a weird thing. It would feel like a very simple thing to pull off during the development process. I'm wondering whether there was a reason why they deliberately didn't do it because of the kind of like, well, how do I do it when I dock it? Because they don't want to discourage you from docking it, or if it was like this one thing in the long list of features, and they're like, you know what, let's cut this one. We gotta get the
we just
sucker
gotta
out,
get
right?
this out.
But I
in
guess
time.
it's also unnatural to hold something and you're holding the controllers on either side, and then you have to take one hand away to press something. Like, it's not really an organic movement, but it might make
agree.
things faster.
I agree. Yeah, and it's
attachment,
just
see.
more for the map that it becomes a thing for me, where I want to like just scrub around very quickly versus scrolling up. Okay,
I like your scrolling noise.
Scrolling down. Yeah, no, it sounds like
Does it sound like that in game?
That's how they scroll.
It's a little how we scroll.
But,
so a couple of other points for folks. If you have the dock set up, it's connected to the AC adapter. If you plug in anything into the USBs, it's charging. It can charge anything, even when the system's not docked. It's not a requirement to dock the system in order to charge anything. I was charging a portable USB battery pack, like a portable battery.
I noticed
for it. It uses portable batteries, by the way. You
Yeah.
can plug in a USB-C at the
Awesome.
bottom.
Oh, cool.
You're good. I used it in my friend's car on Monday night.
That's awesome.
Yep. What do
So
you
the
say?
two things I noticed was that the AC adapter.
Hold that up. There you go.
I hate this.
You don't like how big this is? Hate's such a strong
it
word.
is, but it's not so much I
If
hate
you
that.
owned an Xbox,
yeah.
Pretty bad.
What did you do then?
that is tiny.
But is your point that, there's things that when they come like that, it takes up 2 power points?
That's my thing because where I live, the building was built in the 40s. I have like 2 outlets in the living room.
Yeah.
And one is behind the TV and one's on the far side of the room, and I sit in the other corner. So I have this giant power strip going on the side. And I have almost all of them filled up. I have one at the end, and I try to put it in, but they're like, I have one of those giant power cords in the middle. So I had to rearrange everything.
Because it's too
just
long.
to get to fit.
That is
Yeah.
annoying.
I got a tiny violin somewhere. Hold on.
I'm just saying. It's a small
I have,
nitpick,
I have
but
power
kidding.
conditioners, and like even there, it's
Conditioners?
tough to get into it. Oh,
I would
yeah.
much rather
GM
get to the
money.
giant brick in
Oh
the
my
middle than the brick
God.
at the end.
So your stuff
What is
doesn't
that?
break when you have an outage. It's California. Like electricity just disappears once in a while. You don't know power
GM
conditioner?
guap.
It like carefully shuts down your devices.
Conditioners? This is the first time I've ever heard of this.
Okay,
What's
well,
wrong with
sorry,
you people?
what
you
is
don't
that?
you don't love your machines? I love my machines.
We're all very poor.
No, it's a thing that makes sure that it makes sure that your current is steady, and if there is an outage, it will disconnect any connected devices gracefully.
So
Instead of going zap, spark, boom, everything's dead.
I've used it's like an anti-shock power board that basically everything that was plugged in would just switch itself off.
That's what it's called in Australia. It's anti-shock power board.
Oh, what is it? It's
Surge.
anti-surge. That's the word that I'm
Yeah,
after, but it's
it's
an
a surge
anti-shock power
protector,
board.
yeah.
It's just a surge protector.
Power
Yeah.
conditioner, same
Yeah,
thing.
okay.
Like it just does a little bit more.
Well, I thought that you had like an air conditioning system for your
I
power
am.
board to keep it
It's
cool
a
or
garage.
something.
It's an
like,
entire garage.
Trying to put a
full.
Joy-Con in between both of you.
So another
Take
thing
one. No,
that I
okay.
had besides
go
the
ahead.
AC thing is I noticed
stand.
I was playing at my computer. So when I was getting low on battery, I charged the thing via USB into my computer, and it did charge, but not enough charge to actually bring it back up. It was just slowly falling, really slowly.
Huh.
I can, so when you charge a phone, like it doesn't charge as fast as when you do the wall.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think the power wasn't enough for it to actually. If I think it was off, it would have charged. But since I was already playing while I was charging the computer, it was just falling at a much slower rate.
right.
Yep.
Interesting to note if you ever play by computer.
So I
Yeah.
played like a couple of hours of Zelda just like this.
Oh, you did the relax
yeah.
play?
Right.
Yeah, the relax pose, just like thinking.
Like the monkeys?
yeah, and just whatever.
Got your power
How'd that feel
post.
for you?
And it is adaptable, but definitely, and if you just come in close here, you'll see that my pinky, pretty much like the bottom of these controllers, the handles just aren't long, right? Like, and that's kind of the thing.
Dude, looking
I
at that
get-
close
yeah.
up, your hands are so big.
I know.
We say that on the show a lot, I've been told. But I got used to it. It's
Yeah.
not something that it's super uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's not the most comfortable way to play. The most comfortable way to play, in my opinion, is the Pro Controller, which is going to run you another $70. You can play this way. There's nothing wrong with playing it this way. If your hands are smaller, you'll probably like it a little more.
Like a normal human probably would be more comfortable than for like a Colossus type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The giant
It was
running
okay
the
for me. I
They,
played this
they're
morning
small.
like that.
They're small. Obviously, you want to put the strap on there so you have a nicer edge and a little bit more heft, right?
I did that the first night. I didn't think it made a huge improvement. I feel that
So
these
cute.
these Joy-Con straps This must be torture to anyone who's listening. I'm so sorry about
Yeah,
that.
no, just
These
watch it.
these Joy-Con straps, there's a little more to it, but
little
it's
bit.
still, I don't know. It's the same problem to me.
I
It's
would
not
say that
different.
Zelda even says when you take
this-
the things out, like, hey, you should probably play this in the grip.
Well, and
Like,
my
give me a
other thing is
notification.
the strap is better just for if you're playing as a player 1 or player 2.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah.
this is
Like sideways.
why this exists.
Yeah.
It is to help you deal with how your fingers will be when you're holding this like that.
Yeah.
So can I just
so-
ask, when
yeah.
you play it with the 2 Joy-Cons separately, one in each hand,
Mm-hmm.
the thing that I was hoping that would do is that I would just forget that I was sort of holding them. Was it so uncomfortable that you were constantly aware? Just
It just
take
fall
a
out of
nap
your
mid
hands
Zelda.
while you fall asleep.
I just want it to be so casual that I'm not actively
Sleep like
thinking
that's
about
the
it.
sound you make when you
Yeah. No, that's when I wake up because the controllers fell.
To answer your question, I feel like
It didn't take long for me. Like I would
Yeah,
just
I
kind
was
of like
fine.
at first I was like
Yeah.
this, and then I kind of like like that. I slouched back. My hands were like
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
free. So yeah, it kind of felt like I didn't have to think about it as much.
yeah, no, same. I just kind of kept trying to find different positions to sort of put my body in and just keep playing. And I don't know, I just
I
kept
feel like that's
doing that
really
just
cool.
fine. Yeah,
you have
just,
new
like,
hardware
chilling.
that you're like challenging your posture with.
Yeah, I'm just like,
Have
I've
cro- have
played
your
games
arms
my
crossed.
whole life sitting like this.
Do
And now
whatever
I'm
I
just
want.
like crossed or like this or like, oh man, this thing, I just don't know what to do.
I pitched a
Thoughtful.
bit fight challenge where someone has the Switch with the game and they start running away. You have to chase them while chasing the screen so you can keep playing.
Oh, so Bitfight's a series that we have weird caveats where you play a game. A cool idea would be to play a Switch game, but one person can see the screen and has to tell the people with the controllers
No,
what to do.
to the right, to the right.
Yeah,
to
that
the
could be fun.
Other right.
You have to communicate like
Your other right.
team.
Yeah,
fun.
I think I've hit on everything I want to. The system makes a lot of weird noises on the lock screen, depending on what button you press.
I was going to bring this up. Like,
Sure.
it doesn't actually make a lot of noise when it's on the go. Like, I was expecting it to have more fan noise.
No,
It's very quiet.
Oh, and also, just there was a lot of worry over performance in terms of CPU clocks that down clock or up clock. It definitely up clocks when it's in the dock, and you notice it because after playing Zelda for like 2, 3, 4 hours, it's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot when it comes out of that dock. Not super hot, like blister hot, but it's noticeably
But
warmer.
not first generation PS4 hot where it goes.
No, no noise whatsoever. In fact, the first night I thought I heard noise and then realized, oh crap, it's the PSVR. What's the box that comes with it that connects to the console?
Oh, I know
it's
what
a
you're talking
magic
about.
box.
Yeah, it's the
power
magic box.
air
I don't
conditioner.
remember what it's called.
Yeah,
portable.
but it has a fan. And so at first I
Boy.
was like, what is it? And I was like, oh wait, oh no, let me take that out. Oh no, it didn't make a sound.
I have to ask in relation to that, how do you guys feel about the battery life? Have you had different experiences with different games?
So we only have
we only
Zelda.
have Zelda.
Oh, we
That's
only
all
have
they
Zelda.
said to
Well,
us.
I will have you know that I have Just Dance on my desk.
Nice. Okay, so let us know how that goes.
Yep. We'll
Yeah.
be playing that next week. Very excited.
You can just dance for 3 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
it
think
is
that's
3
a
to 6
long
hours?
time.
I don't know. I was just
So with Zelda, I got to around the 240 mark before
Okay.
I ran for the charger.
That's still pretty good.
And I was scared of losing progress. Found out this morning in a story reported by a much braver person than I that when it shuts down, this was Siliconera. Nice job, guys. When it runs out of juice, it will save the state of the game, so that when you
good.
That's
plug it
really
back
good.
in, you're okay.
Does it
so
do
if you're
that
on the
Animal
road,
Crossing thing where when you turn it back on, there's like a character there to guilt you about it?
Yeah.
Gets angry about you, and then you lie to it because you feel bad.
Yeah,
The battery
yeah.
died.
Write a letter of apology.
Yeah.
definitely.
Hopefully not. No.
No,
but
no.
that's a really great feature because I'm
Yep.
always terrified when I'm on an airplane and my 3DS starts blinking red. I'm like, like
And that's the
It's a
scary
straight point.
blinking. It's like, you're like, oh my God, I need a charger. I need
Yeah.
a charger now.
Very
Red
It's
alert,
gonna
red
blow.
alert.
Yeah.
I feel like 240 is really. I'm so happy that we can get external batteries. That's the biggest thing to me because you can buy batteries that hold a hell of a lot of charge these days. You can get 8 hours out of. I mean, they're expensive, but you can
Yeah.
get a lot of time. So
Yep, yep.
I mean, I keep thinking when I fly to Australia to see my family, taking one of those on a plane just sounds perfect to me.
Yeah.
The only weird thing when it comes to battery and charging is still the placement of the port. I get that the port had to be there for the dock, but it's like when you prop it up, there's nothing that allows you to plug in.
yeah.
while
That's the one thing you
it's
can't
low.
do. You
But
can't.
there will be solutions. There will be like little stands and stuff with a pass-through.
Right.
It's still like with a system that feels so well designed. It's just a weird oversight to me.
That is a bit odd. Yeah.
See, to me though, I wouldn't want to plug it when it is like this. Like, so I tried playing Zelda in tabletop mode, and you know what occurred to me?
Yeah.
That screen's too far away. Like, I just felt like that's a small screen. Being even this distance from it didn't feel comfortable to me. I have to go handheld.
I was
and
going to be
do
like, did
this.
you
Yeah.
consider moving the distance?
Yeah. Well,
But think about it, like if it's
Sitting closer.
yeah, get a smaller chair, put it right on the table.
Just seemed like a bit of
Yeah.
effort.
Yeah.
well, I think I have a family, right? So I think in terms of families you see in commercials where you're on a road trip and you're staying at a hotel or something, and it's like you can entertain the kids by propping this up and letting them play Mario Kart.
Yep.
And the only thing that stands in the way of the enjoyment is when the battery's out. You're going
that's
to
fair.
have to change something. And like I thought this was such a cool concept that it is a little TV that you can prop up.
Yeah.
And so that was just a weird thing to me that they didn't make this. Make this
Yeah,
just
but that's
a
an
better
accessory then that you buy, right?
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
something
There's a
third parties
solution.
can
I mean,
make.
there are a lot of
Solution.
accessories.
Like, you can't
though.
prop up your iPad when you buy one. You buy a
True.
case that does that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's
for
part of it, but it doesn't get in the way of charging it.
Something
per
else
point.
we might see is I know they exist for GoPro, like a little clamp thing that is flexible, like has a stand that is flexible, so you
They
could
showed
move
that
around.
on
and,
the reveal time, like on the
Did they?
car trip.
They had the
Yeah, you
car
slide it
attached to
in.
the headrest. If you go to back to the very first reveal trailer,
Yeah.
you can
like
see
I
it.
remember that.
It
Yeah.
slides in. But yeah, I do think there'll be a ton of stands for this thing. That's like
Yeah.
the simplest solution. It'll be cheap, so it's not a big
Yeah.
deal. It's just like when I look at this machine, like it has so many great ideas and just so many. It feels so good.
And that's the thing that's surprising to me is also on the UI front. Like
Yeah.
when you look at how if it has a wired connection, so if you connect an AC, if you connect the AC adapter, not the AC adapter, what do you call it? The wireless adapter that basically connects via USB. There's a USB slot on the back or two on the side, whichever one you choose. It will automatically detect those settings, and you can just test connection and set it up that way. If you have those settings set up, rather, it will switch to them immediately the minute it's plugged in. Same thing with wireless. Once you unplug it, it starts searching for wireless and will immediately, if it has
that's really
access,
cool.
connect. We can't connect at hotels yet because any of the Wi-Fi that you have to sort of sign off on something and agree. The day one update will have that apparently unlocked. There's a day one update that's going to activate that. The eShop.
Friends.
Network, Nintendo account.
Activate
just
friends?
Yeah.
How many friends right now?
You can't have
Finally.
friends till Nintendo says you can have friends.
Fair.
Any bug fixes in the first patch?
Well, that ties into potentially. They didn't say that they'd be fixing this, but the one issue we've run into, and Brendan and I have had different experiences on this, is that while playing Zelda, if the machine is docked but the controllers, the Joy-Con, are separated, there is an intermittent issue that happens. I feel like it happened 2 or 3 times in like what felt like 20 hours of Zelda, where the left Joy-Con desyncs.
I've seen people tweet about issues specifically with the left Joy-Con.
Yeah, and so basically, it reminds me of. Do you remember on the PlayStation 3 way back in the day how the Bluetooth there was this weird bug where the character would keep moving, but you were like, "Oh wait, no, I'm not doing that anymore." There's like a delayed input.
Yep.
That was intermittent as well. That it's similar to that. It's about 2 to 3 second duration. I mean, I didn't time it, but you lose control, you get it back, and then you're fine. Again, it's happened to me in like 2 or 3 instances.
It's having me
What
the
about
same.
you?
I haven't played as much, so I think
In the office or at home?
Both.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yes.
only
But not Bluetooth interference caused by 1 million
it's only when
devices
you
at
have it
IGN.
like in the grip or if it's separate. Like I've never had it when I was in. It's part of the Switch. Only when the Joy-Cons out to get the.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
then,
makes
like,
sense.
I think actually, if maybe you won't see it until like next week, but like for like the walkthrough, I was recording like for the first area. There's a part where I'm just like strafing a guy, and I keep strafing, just like, okay, stop strafing,
Yeah.
attack
Yeah.
now. Okay, kids, so let's fight now. But yeah, that was like I was really weirded out by that.
Obviously, very excited to move on to Zelda, but can I just ask what you all think of the UI?
Yeah, I was going to ask about that too.
Yeah.
So you've used the menu a bunch.
I have. I think it's really smart. I think in terms of the settings, there's quick settings that you can activate by just long pressing the home button, and you'll be able to adjust brightness, set it into airplane mode, little things like that. It's very minimalist. It doesn't feel charming by visual appearance, but it is by sound.
Right.
Each tier, so you have your profile tier, you have your game tier on the second level, and then on the third tier is what is on? Just like options, album, eShop, things like that.
news, yeah.
These are like
Each tier-
tile-based pages.
Yeah, and each has a different. Well, no, it's one page, and those are the 3 tiers on it.
Oh, I see.
And each each one you select makes a different like kind of a different sound. Like
I
each
like good
tier you're
UI
on.
sounds. I'm a big fan of
Yeah,
that.
it's really like little charming things like that
I
are
thought
in
it was
there.
interesting when you launch like a game like Zelda. You launch first, and then it asks which account do you want to play this game on,
Yeah, it asks every time. By
instead
the way.
of making the account first and then playing the game. So
Yeah.
That is a little odd.
And you can create that. No, actually, it's
I
really
like it.
smart because
Well, because then in the UI, you're not
Yeah.
technically in an account, right?
yeah, you just see all the
you're,
accounts
you're
on the,
seeing
on the top
everything.
screen.
Yeah, it was almost designed with a parent in mind. You feel,
Yeah.
because you kind of can choose your different who's going to play now.
That's pretty interesting.
You just gotta hope that's like there isn't a way to lock your account, and I think that's something they need to put in
Yeah.
next.
sure
Because
the
if
parental
you know
accounts.
if you have kids, if one of them touches your Zelda save file, you might just lose it.
Well, I know with
I've
the
had 30-hour save files deleted before. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
with the Wii U, certain games implemented that. There were certain games
Yeah.
that had accounts locked so that other people couldn't play as you, which is always an option for something like Zelda.
And maybe the parental controls have that, but since it's all done through the app, I haven't had any experience
Yeah.
with any of that stuff. But that's something I think they need to add is just a way to lock a profile because, you know, I on Xbox One, that's a thing that I really appreciate. That if I was sharing the console with someone, I have my own code to get into my account and get to my games, or you know,
not.
or not. Yeah.
Do you think that the interface, like the sparse design, is a 1.0 and that they will go a bit more with the kind of old charm factor? I mean, think about 3DS where you can like paste stuff all over your home screen and customize it and unlock stuff. And with the Wii U, obviously, you've got hello, right? You
There's
got all the little
definitely-
guys running around and all that. Like, do you
It's a good
think,
impression.
Do you think they'll go into that
I
direction?
think thematically they will. I don't think you're going to be buying. I just don't see in the UI reason for them to do the badge center again.
Yeah.
Because you had all of these little tiles and you were able to sort of zoom out, whereas this is just a standard row, a template of icons that you can pick from.
But it does let you choose white or black background, so I could see them expanding that.
That's why I'm saying thematically, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
no.
that was my
Daring
point.
selection.
It is.
Yeah, yeah. Like you'll
went-
be
I
able
went
to
and
put
straight
a
black.
That's more than one.
yeah. You'll have like your Zelda background, your Mario background,
sure
your
they'll have.
Splatoon background. I think they're gonna sell you themes. I mean, why wouldn't you? Like you put that in there. You have to be.
Especially if you get the special edition NES controller attachment or whatever, and then you get the whole theme. I bet
Yeah,
That's what
that'd
they
they
did with
will make
3DS, yeah.
a bigger
Yeah,
deal.
or
out of
maybe
that.
Amiibo
Yeah.
will do that.
Yep, maybe that too. And that's another thing. Is just like I wonder if their thinking towards Amiibo has changed because at least with the Breath of the Wild set, which we have here, and we should start talking about Breath of the Wild. I'd like to try and talk about this for 10 minutes if possible, only for the sake of listeners who
Is that good or bad?
want to run away and don't
Oh, I
want to
see.
hear anything because we can go on forever.
But you're not spoiling it, right?
We're not spoiling it.
Okay.
This is a spoiler-free discussion, but I still, if you're planning to go into the game and just see everything for yourself for the first time, we're going to speak vaguely, but we're still going to be talking about things we did.
Yeah, I'm
know?
of the impression there are some people who want to know literally nothing.
Yeah. So go away for 10 minutes starting now. All right. So, oh God. Brendan, what? Why don't you kick off? Like what?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Tell us about the
let's
Zeldas.
start from the Great Plateau.
The
minute you got off.
The minute I got off. So
Where'd you go?
I know that you had to review the game, so you took a very specific path where the game
Yeah,
kind of leads you off. Being a guides writer, I got to do that too. But more important to me was getting the map done because I would love to have by launch an interactive wikis map where you can see anything you've missed, any Korok thing or shrine or dungeon or whatever have you. So my goal yesterday was to find every single resurrection tower, like you saw at the Great Plateau, and to find all the towers in the land.
Because when you go to the towers, it's very Assassin's Creed-like in that it now gives you access to the
Ubisoft, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I think they patented that, and I think that's had like some hits and misses. I actually like it because I won't get into detail, but like it's not the same when you go to each tower. There are different things in play. So
Some are guarded, some are not.
yeah. So my path took me towards the center of the map, and things got a little hairy. I was under some sniper fire for a bit. Then I veered off left, went to like the northwest quadrant, which was like kind of dangerous territory, and I could tell that I wasn't supposed to be there. Keep in mind also,
How could you tell?
because everything killed me in one hit.
Well, he's also running
He's
around
getting
with,
real
with,
dead.
Yeah,
with
I was
3
also
hearts.
running around with
Yeah.
3 hearts, and I chose not to wear clothes
Why would you do that?
for the fun of it.
Don't shame him.
Okay.
I want to write a feature hopefully next week on the adventures of the naked cartographer.
Okay.
That's a good angle.
beautiful.
I like that.
It was pretty fun. So like being able to go to regions, it gave me almost kind of like a feeling of when you're playing like an MMO or some kind of thing where they're like little level-based zones, and you can tell you're not supposed to be there, but you can if you're really determined.
Dark
and-
Souls is a good example of that.
Yeah, and really stealthy. So there are parts where I'm like sneaking in the grass, like there's like this big like enemy over there. I'm just like, okay, just gonna hope he doesn't see me.
Man, that's so
and then
exciting.
like I just run to a cliff and just jump off, and then just like float across the canyon. Like look down, and the canyon like in any other game, those canyons would be like pits. You're dead. Start over. There were things down there, and it would take me probably like half an hour to get back up out of the canyon. So I'm like, I have to make this jump. If not, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
But just doing that was like really fun, and like I learned a lot of new things. I saw new areas. There were parts where the temperature would change dramatically, and be like, "It's getting kind of hot in here."
Well, you're not wearing
my
clothes,
spear's on
too.
fire. My shield's on
Wow.
fire. I'm on fire. My temperature gauge is on fire. I'm dead.
Ow.
Yeah.
This-
I haven't even
rules.
blinked. Yeah.
It sounds daunting and it sounds awesome.
this game is
sounds
this
great.
game is not kidding around.
You saying that has made me 10 times more excited.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
there's lots of a map I can go to where it's going to be terrifying.
Yeah.
So the most addictive thing that happens when you get off the Great Plateau is that now you have access to the paraglider. And I mean this when I say this, and you can take this as, the inspiration could be linked to like Far Cry or other games have had, like Batman has a way to get around in terms of gliding. But in Zelda, it is so satisfying to find a high peak and then just jump off and like fly off into the distance, sort of scanning the horizon, looking for the thing you want to do next or looking for the next thing that catches your eye. And one of the things that I really enjoy about the experience so far is I always feel like I never know what's going to happen next. And I've been playing for a long time. And I still feel like when it rains, now that changes what's going to happen. For
Yeah.
example, like I can't climb rock surfaces because now they're slippery.
Oh, man.
And you
So
slide
great.
down.
It's crazy for me to think to when I played A Link to the Past, never did I think that Link would be able to basically fly one day just by himself. Never
Yeah.
did I think that rain would make surfaces like that slippery or that I would have to cook to survive or that I would have to pay attention to a temperature gauge.
It's amazing that like the logic that most games you'd be able to go like normally if I was in real life this should work like this. It actually does in Zelda.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, the logic that other games take for granted, I feel like
Things
Zelda
lit on fire.
actually delivers on. Like I came up with inventive way to solve a puzzle that I did not think would work.
And it
But
did.
according to the properties of the game and the relation to how I applied my logic, it absolutely worked.
So do you think there are multiple ways to solve different puzzles?
oh definitely
I think so, and
a lot of them at least.
I think to an extent. I don't want to say too much
No, I
because
don't want to
that's
even
going to
know
screw
how
that up.
you've done
Yeah, but this was one of those things where I actually missed the element in the room I needed. The last piece of the puzzle that I needed, I don't know. I'm tired. Like I was playing a lot, and I was like, well, I could use this, and I just tried, and it worked. And I was like, oh my!
Wow.
Like how many games do you apply the rules of the world to what you do, and it ends up actually
works.
I
happening?
think it says a lot about the world at large. Like they've gone on record saying that the Breath of the Wild, like the world itself, is alive. It's its own kind of dungeon. And to that point, like there are many places you explore where like there are puzzles baked into the environment. Not like that, like they stop your progression, but like there are things you can do or ways you can get somewhere, and there are multiple avenues of how you can do it. And some you need to like use what runes you have, or some you get like I have my glider, or is it raining, or like what can I do here? And I think there's a lot of ways to go around almost any place you find.
It's not a progression lock system like the hook shot would be, for example, in a classic Zelda game. Where
It's not, but it does introduce something that none of us took into account.
okay.
I will say that. That's hype. I'm sorry. Like I don't want to do that to you. If you're still here and you're listening
Unprecedented.
and you're watching, I'm really sorry. Okay, there's 4 minutes left, so you guys should ask questions because Brendan and I can talk in vague statements all day, and we're only getting you more excited.
Storytelling. I mean, how excited? How good is it? How does this game compare to previous games? Obviously, Skyward Sword. I enjoyed the game. It had some faults, but what I thought it did really well is build up to this emotional moment, and then really kind of show this friendship between the characters. Even like a guy you thought you were was the bad guy essentially in the beginning, right?
No, they do some really smart world building. The cutscenes are where you learn a lot about the relationships between these characters. The relationships are deep and in some cases dark, and in some cases not how you were expecting them to be. I think it's just one of the things that has kind of really sort of made me really excited about this game is that for a 30-year-old franchise, they found a way to reinvent almost so many things about the game, and character is one of them. I think they do a really good job with the early going of the story so far, because you are trying to understand your place in that world, if I can just put it that way, to be as gentle as possible.
Sounds lovely. What I was actually going to ask is just what's your favorite and least favorite things about it based on what you played without any spoilers.
Okay.
You go first. I'm gonna think about it. Sorry.
Spoilers.
Without spoilers, I think it is what I said earlier, just the idea that I don't quite... I've played this game for hours on end, and I still am finding things that are new that I didn't expect. This concept of reinvention. Like, I'll see an enemy, and I'll be like, wait, is that like an Octorok or something? And then see what it does now and go, holy like, wait, what? Wait, what was that? Just the idea that, like, they really found some smart ways to change the things that you know of this series for the past 30 years and, like, just spin them on their head.
But without losing its identity, right?
Yeah, or its spirit.
You told me about a weapon. I don't want to give it away, but you told me about something that you use, and, like, we're so used to how it works in Zelda games, and it just doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I guess we could say that, but we're going up on 2 minutes. So the Lizalfo boomerang that you have in the game, it's a weapon that you can swing at enemies with, to, like, standard melee attack. You know how there's a throw button? Well, if you throw it, it'll go out, and you have to catch it when it comes back.
Cool.
You have to catch it. You have to press the button.
And if you
Link
throw
will
it
not
in
catch it on
enclosed
its own.
spaces, it'll hit a wall and fall down.
Yeah.
So you have to go run
What
to
happens if
get
you
it.
don't catch it?
You lost it. It can sail past you. If you're on a cliff, it's gone.
Yeah. So you can chase
Wow.
after it and go find it if you missed it.
Yeah.
So, but it's like it becomes an expert tool rather than the like the item you always get in a Zelda game is a boomerang, and, like, it's magically always returns to you. But with this one, it's like you got to make an effort.
Yeah, that's really cool.
They've changed a lot of things that, like, were usually, like, staples, and they've reinvented how you envision those items or those key elements in different ways, and I like what they've done with that.
Yeah. In terms of what is the most disappointing, I hate to take a cop out, but it is this touchscreen thing for now.
Really?
Like, it is.
It's very minor.
It is super minor, and that's the thing that is kind of bugging me. I'm like, well, what is bad about this? And I'm still trying to kind of,
Frame rate?
well, yeah, experience-wise, you do have some dips here and there. Still unsure what causes them, whether it's too many effects or too many enemies or both. Definitely not slideshow worthy, but you're in the mid 20 frames and you notice when it happens. You do, but I don't think it has killed my enjoyment in any way, shape, or form. And some games are that smart. Some sandboxes are that smart. They can do that. 30 seconds, Brendan, hurry.
Oh, 30 seconds? Okay. Well, I just really like the exploration factor that everywhere I go, I find something that I can go look for no matter where I'm going, no matter what I want to do or how I want to break the system, as you could say it. Like, I find things everywhere
15.
and they're always fun. As far as not liking, so far, I've only played a little
10.
bit. I would say enemy variety so far is not that diverse.
You did it. All right.
Nailed it.
You can come back. That was 5 seconds left.
So
Good
you
job.
all this because you wanted to keep this spoiler free for people, yeah?
I did, yeah.
Welcome back.
I can
If
talk
you're
about. Yeah, sorry if you left. Here we are. Let's talk about the question block. So we asked for questions from listeners on Twitter, and we got a bunch, which I have right here. And if we run out, I can always pull out my laptop and try to get some more. So first one comes from Justin, who says, "Hey, love the show. Switch covers been awesome. Can't believe it's almost here. Is there a car charger for the Switch? Road trips with the kids are a lot more manageable with Mario Kart 8, but with battery life being a concern, some kind of car charger would be huge for someone like me. Have you heard of anything like this? I believe there is a car charger. I'm not entirely. Have you ordered one yet? That's why
No,
I
I
included
saw,
this in here.
saw one on the Japanese website, so I assume it's
know,
available here. There's a third-party solution.
Yeah.
But it's a standard port.
Yeah,
I kind of want to check now. I might do that tonight, like, because my car charger has a little USB attachment, so I'm gonna see if it actually holds the charge and if it, can still do it plain, or if it's like the PC where it kind of slowly depletes. I'll definitely check that out.
Okay. So Actually, this is kind of a twist on Alana's question earlier with Zelda. Nick from Montreal sent in a question. He asked, "Okay, now that you've had some time playing Nintendo Switch, what's been your biggest surprise and your biggest disappointment with the system?"
The console itself?
Yeah, and then he just names his going back to the January Switch announcement. My biggest surprise at the time was the big emphasis Nintendo was putting on motion controls, and these fancy new Joy-Con. So he just mentions what his surprise was, at least. From the new console being out, I was wondering if there's any other bigger surprises to the public on March 3rd.
Good question.
Yeah, the biggest surprise to me was just how not like the Wii U this feels. And I'm talking about from a UI system perspective. It just feels so far and away smarter. Even with 3DS, like how long did it take for a little shortcut to show up in the top corner of the bottom screen to just access quick options? It took years. It felt like forever.
Point about quick shortcuts. I think my biggest surprise was how quickly I could put the game in and play it. And in this day and age, being able to play a big game like that without having to wait for like a 5-hour install time and then day one patches and like, oh, I gotta wait. I just pushed it in, played, booted up.
I missed that.
Took like
Obviously, we will get a day one system
Yeah.
update, but
Yeah.
Nintendo says it's polite too. It downloads in the background.
Yeah,
Yep.
I believe so. Yeah.
So you're not locked out. It can be really frustrating when
Yeah.
you're excited about a game. Like I know my kids, I brought home Halo Wars 2 and they're like, woohoo!
Or like
and they
Final
put it in,
Fantasy
they're like,
where I had to wait, like-
"Dope,
Yeah.
giant download. And
Yeah.
It was like a 2-hour install time for Final Fantasy.
Yeah, you just pop in a card and you're ready to go, and the cards are tiny. In case you guys haven't seen that, in terms of the biggest disappointment, I would say right now, just like your kids. If you're listening to the show, Parrot just tried to put the Zelda Breath of the Wild cartridge in his mouth.
It's crazy small.
Yeah, it's really small, really big connectors.
It's
on the back.
really tiny.
Biggest disappointment for me has been that I think that the way I'm playing Zelda in very long, hard marathon sessions is affecting the charge time on the system. More specifically, affecting the charge of the system when it comes out. So the system gets hot when it's in dock mode, and I'm playing like 5-6 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing when I pull it out, it'll say something, even though it's been docked the whole time, it'll say something like 83%. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. You've been in the dock the whole time. I think Zelda is taxing this thing to its limit.
Yeah.
But I do think that does put a bit of a sour face on this promise of home console
That is
to portable.
concerning.
Yeah, it is concerning. Got to play more games to see what else gets.
So this happens
affected in
even
that
when you
way.
start off at 100%, or when do you know?
I haven't checked it if it was, so I've got to double check that. All I know is that that has been something that I'm still trying to figure out. So I will say so far, disappointment in progress, if
Yeah.
that's allowed.
Yeah, but
it's
I mean,
been
I
that.
hope there's no long form issue of it potentially kind of burning itself out at some point.
I hope not too. And again, I'm definitely not playing this the way it was possibly intended. But
Yeah.
then again, I mean,
People aren't
when
gonna
you
play
make
that
a
way.
design, you
Startup is
got to come up
fast.
with
Is
a
it
lot.
always this fast, or
Yeah,
is
snap
there
up,
like
yeah.
a full power down where it will take longer to wake
No,
up?
even from power down, it's pretty fast.
Yeah, it's pretty quick, and the load times on Zelda are really, really short. The Wii U
Pretty
version
awesome.
felt like forever at E3, but we'll see. Like that wasn't optimized.
Do I need sleep mode, or can I close? Am I okay to
Just
close?
put it in sleep mode. Yeah.
No, I want to turn it off all the
just
way. I
turn
want
it
to see.
Oh, so go to power options.
Okay.
Tap that. Oh, you
Okay.
did it wrong. Yeah, do it again.
Yeah, I just didn't want to, like, if you didn't save Zelda or something, I didn't want to ruin it.
You got a disappointment, Brendan, before we move on?
I mean, assuming they fix that Joy-Con thing bugging out, that was my only really big gripe so far.
Okay.
Trying to think.
Turning it on.
Just that what I talked about with the AC thing, just all about like little tiny things, like the big brick is kind of hard, and then the whole charging, like there's always something to charge, and I feel like I don't have enough outlets, or I need to find some outlet to charge something, whether it's Joy-Cons or it's the console itself or the dock or the Pro controller.
There are a lot of accessories here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Yeah, I didn't run into that the first day, and you were here when I basically like right out of the box set it up to play Zelda, and was worried that the Joy-Con wouldn't make it, and they did. We sat through the whole session. I didn't have a charging grip, and they hadn't charged more than the 10 minutes that it was plugged in.
Yeah.
So I would just say that your situation is going to be different depending on
It's very true.
where you live and how many
Your
wall
gaming
plugs you have.
habits.
Yeah, and your gaming habits, etc. So we got a question from Luca. I got a fancy pair of AirPods. I wonder if the Switch is compatible with Bluetooth headphones. Luca, the answer is no. So far, nothing in the UI seems to suggest that Bluetooth headphones are a thing. I hate to be the one to tell you. I think Nintendo France finally said it too, or at least I saw a thread on Gab that said that.
It's it obviously supports Bluetooth. I'm sure it's possible to do this software-wise, but
Yep.
I don't know that they're falling over themselves to do it because it is a portable.
Yeah.
tool, right.
Yep.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Can you use the Pro Controller when in tabletop mode once synced to the system? This is from Ken. You know the answer to this?
Wait, what was that? Control?
Can
Yeah.
you use the Pro Controller when it's in tabletop mode?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use any controller you want.
Because
Doesn't matter.
you are holding
Look.
the console and Pear was controlling it. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, and you can wake it with any controller that is connected to the system as long
Which
as
is
you're
nice.
pressing the home
Yep.
button. And if you do switch controllers mid-game, it just asks you to press L and R simultaneously on the controller you're going to use, and then once you've verified that, press A, and you're in.
I just am so impressed.
So
with this
Wii
hardware.
U, it was a nightmare.
Oh, yeah. To sync everything?
anything,
And to
to
get
a
all
Wii U.
full Wii remotes
It was
and the
a-
with tablets.
Yeah.
It was unbelievably frustrating.
It's like,
and
okay, hang on. All right, this one. All right, hang on. Okay, wait, go back.
That
this
one
one,
connected.
This,
This
one.
one's not
Oh, wait.
working. Yeah.
Yeah, it just was never and the fact that once you just click the Joy-Con onto the system, it pairs them with that system. So if I took the Joy-Con off of your Switch and put them on mine, they're now paired to my system, and I have 4 controllers ready to go.
knows.
Yeah, like it is so much better. I cannot stress that
That
enough.
is awesome.
It's nice, yeah.
Let's see. Oh, we got a question from Michael. Just wondering if it'd be possible to get, and we haven't answered this in a while, so we're going to answer it. Either or both NBC alumni Rich George and Audrey Drake on Nintendo Voice Chat as guests. It's been a few years since they left. They joined Nintendo in different capacities. Would love to talk to them. Michael, I feel for you, man, but you know what? We can't. So Rich's job is pretty out of the spotlight, and same thing with Audrey. Audrey works for Treehouse. Like they don't let her out of that treehouse very often.
E3.
Yeah, E3 maybe, and even then, like to get someone once you're with a big corporation like that, you need permission,
Yeah.
and you have to go through like 8 people to get it.
So fun NVC story. I don't know if everyone knows, but I was actually on NVC during the Rich George days. You just never saw me because I was the guy playing the game while they were talking about it in the background.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
I don't
crazy.
like
That
that
was
they
my
did
first-
I have a huge problem with that.
He does. He was
Just want to
so-
say, no one puts Graver in a corner. All I'm saying.
I was so honored that they're like, "Do you want to play the game while we talk about it?" I'm like, a chance to show off my skills while they talk. I don't even need to
Then
talk.
people
How
are
long
like,
ago
"You
was that?
Well, that was like years ago, like 3 years, I think.
Yeah, it's ancient
That's
history.
crazy.
But it's not for lack of
And now I'm
trying.
here.
We always extend invites to IGN alums. And it's just
We
tough.
try.
It depends on the
Especially-
companies they work on.
exactly.
Actually, if you're tuning in for our live stream, our SafePoint live stream,
I haven't talked about
Jared
that. I meant
Petty.
to.
Jared Petty is on it.
Wait, why don't you tell people what SafePoint is? Why I bring up the next question?
So SafePoint, we've had Stephen Lin on the show, of course, and him and Frank Cifaldi are working on this awesome project to save important video game history, and that means both digital data backups, so things that could be disappearing because there's no physical media to store them out on, or the cartridges are gone, but also gaming hardware, advertisements, all that kind of stuff. And Steve talked about this a little bit, and so we are doing this live stream with them where we're going to show off rare collectibles. You're going to see games being played that you may
never
have
been
never
played.
seen before, and I think there was a title that's never been played on.
Yeah, I'm playing
on
a
camera
game
before?
that has never been played
Oh,
before.
neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's awesome.
It's crazy exciting, and I think so. The idea is we're live streaming with them to try and. I mean, it's a charity. We're trying to help them raise money.
Right, yeah.
Basically,
Or nonprofit, yeah.
yeah. The idea being that what's a recent example?
We're
That,
having fun. She's talking.
Scalebound was recently canceled. Like, what this charity is intended to do is like they could be the people who could pitch to get a build of what Scalebound was meant to be, or games that were in existence but no longer are, or
Yep.
just stopped development for whatever reason. And I think this is super exciting. I
Yeah,
think it's going to be
preserve
super
them.
fun.
And we talked about like there's even murkiness around the release date of a popular game like Mario, right? Like they're dedicated to preserving the history to make sure that it isn't lost just because somebody edits a Wikipedia entry and falsifies
Yeah, and
it.
it
Well, and
That's
also
So-
a lot of the documentation from the early era of video games is gone, right?
Yep.
Everything was kept in paper records. Some of that stuff was not documented or transferred to digital, transferred to computers, or floppy disks have gotten so out of, like,
Yep.
you can lose information so easily
Yeah.
in that
It's like
time.
the ET desert pile that we found.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, which at one point people thought it was a myth
Yeah.
until they dug it up and said it's not a myth, it's right here.
Right
This really
here.
happened. But like even when the people who buried it said, no, it's true, we actually did it, people were like scoff, 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 scoff.
Yeah.
Right? Like now there's proof. So but tune in for this. So this is happening on Monday.
Yes.
A couple of I think like 5 hours of live streaming of this rare stuff. A lot of us on there, a lot of friends from the industry, from gaming publications, and good old Jared Petty. Jared
he's
Petty is
coming
coming
by.
back for it as well. So
Yeah,
it should
and
be
it's like
really
thinking
fun.
about one thing that I always remembered was this tech demo. There was footage online somewhere of Banjo 3 and what it was supposed to look like, I believe, on the N64.
Oh, wow.
It was just like it showed off a couple of new kinds of shoes that you could wear that would do different things, and that game obviously never came out. We got nuts and
remember
bolts,
that.
and and it's like I wish I could play that.
Wow.
Yeah, thankfully getting Ukulele very soon. Which when is that coming out on Switch?
April?
Do you guys know?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think
April.
it's on launch, or the Ukulele's launch. I mean, and that's super exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
just took
really
my
cool.
pre-orders from the Wii U to Switch when they changed that. I just did it. I kickstarted it. And
Yeah, me too.
I almost forgot to change the order when they said no more Wii U versions. We're doing
Right.
Switch versions.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game to play on the go.
So this one comes from Dennis Vogel, who says, longtime listener, first time writer. I don't know if that's true, Dennis. I feel like I've seen your name before. Now that you've spent countless hours I'm just kidding, playing Breath of the Wild, how comfortable are you with the various controller setups for long play sessions? Which setup did you end up using for the most time when you played Zelda? You first.
I've used the grip for the most time, but I feel like I might want to try the Pro Controller. I haven't tried that one yet. But then using the Joy-Cons I did this morning, and it felt fine too. But yeah, I was using the grip. Then I think the other half of the day, I was just using it in tablet mode with Joy-Cons on either side, and that was really good. I was just like sitting back in bed with my sore throat playing.
I've
with
used all three. Wait, did you just all?
I just
to
sore
sore
throat.
throat. I was like, because I used all
Don't
three.
cry for me. I was playing Switch all day.
Look at all those options.
Okay.
I lived. Wow.
I did
So-
want to ask, is it comfortable using tablet mode for a long time, especially if you're laying down? Like, does it get weighty, or
No.
if you're
I
playing
thought
sort
it
of
was
in your lap,
weighty.
does it
Yeah,
get
I thought it
slouchy?
was.
It wasn't for me.
I think it gets a little weighty. But it just feel. I'm just scared to drop the thing. Honestly,
Yeah.
like that's just my fear because
Yeah.
it is the widest handheld you have ever owned. In
That's
like
true.
we have this video where we put out a preview video and I sort of talk about what the 48 hours with the system was like, and. Yeah, it's the widest console you've ever owned, like handheld console you've ever owned. But then you put it next to an Xbox One, and you're like, man, you are tiny
Yeah,
compared to that thing.
It is really small.
and even PS4. But moving on.
Again, that's a console right there.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's
Can you
crazy.
still see it?
So Lee Morris is asking if we can comment on the quality of standby mode and its drain on the battery. Is it more like 3DS or more like Vita? Thanks, loves the show and the amazing music between segments. Lee, if you're still listening, I'm sorry that we did so much visual talk this episode, but why don't you talk about that? Have you had experience with that?
I haven't seen too
Standby?
much.
Okay.
Drain. Yeah, I put it in sleep mode a lot. Like when I just went and did something else for a bit.
yeah.
And
Are you guys Vita players? I mean, do you know the
yeah.
infamous standby? It's like a
don't.
nuclear reactor somehow. Like,
Really?
sucks out all battery power.
Wait, on Vita?
On
you mean
Vita?
no. On Vita, it's actually pretty good because standby is just instantaneous.
No. I mean, the battery
You can't snap
consumption on
anymore.
standby.
Oh, why did I do
No. The battery consumption on standby it was really bad.
Oh no,
Isn't it?
I don't remember it being bad. So
Maybe I'm crazy and it was the PSP.
I think you're thinking of 3DS, but I mean,
No.
newsflash: 3DS was suffered a lot of battery drain because of Street Pass. Street Pass is Wi-Fi the whole time. It's trying to connect to something else.
Okay. Maybe it's
it
the
feels
PSP.
more like PSV. Yeah, I think you're right. It feels more like PS Vita to me. So we'll check back in. Spoilers, girl. What you doing? You're looking at
They
the album
can't
feature.
see it.
I know, but you're getting spoiled. You don't
I'm
want to see
only
that
looking at
stuff?
how pretty it
You know how many
is.
photos I took?
Link is
She's looking at my album. I'm on the Switch.
Don't show me anything.
All right. One more question, and then we got to go.
Jose keeps on disappearing into a room to play this game, and then he comes out all like bleary eyed.
hair is
Dude,
white.
I don't want to know. I don't
was
want to
here
know.
late last night as well, and I walked past him on some. I'm not going to say what it was, but I just walked past and was like, "Holy crap, that's gorgeous!" And like the setting, I was just like, "Wow, I really didn't expect that to be in this game." And I was like, "You know what? I'm going to walk away right now before I see any more of that." But it looked amazing.
She also scared the living daylights out of me. I was like, oh my God. Wait, what?
Happens.
Who's here?
Looking for more questions?
Okay, I'm not sure if I know what this question is, but we're gonna roll with it. This is from Sean, who says, I like keeping the top of my entertainment center clean and free of console components, knickknacks, etc. But because of the Switch's design and having to slide the console in and out of the dock, I may have to cave and hang it up there. Do you know if the dock lays flush when laid on its back? Also, is it still as easy to slide the console in and out of the dock? I wasn't sure the cables would get in the way or if the sliding.
Put the controllers on it?
I can. So first and foremost, Sean, can you just come up to the close-up shot? Great. So you have options when you feed your cable through here. You can actually just have them force them through the side, although it does have that they can also drag down here. So you could technically lay it like this. I don't think that's still a great idea because
They didn't want you.
Yeah,
first of all,
I
they-
asked them that in New York, and they were like, "Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. It can be
It was
done."
very easy for me to just put it in when it
Yeah. I just feel like the connection, the weight, like it's also very easy to pop
You don't
out.
want to weigh that down.
But it's also
Yeah.
sloped. They did
Yeah.
not design this to be. That was my early question too. They did not design this to be flush. It actually has a slight slope down.
Here, let me hold up
Now
some
it
white
still
paper
sticks
or
in there.
something.
Like it's the first thing I tried when I saw this thing too. It does not have little. It doesn't have little poofy feet, right? No.
No.
Yeah, there's nothing on the underside to actually hold it in.
It's like
in
even
a
the Wii with the little
horizontal-
nubs. On
Yeah.
the
Well, and what also
side.
makes it sort of slope a little bit is these hinges right here. There are
you're right.
hinges on the back
Yeah.
that pop out a little bit. I don't know if you could see that. I'm going to hold that out to you. But yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I think the answer is in theory, yes.
In theory, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody will make a stand for the cradle that makes it straight or something.
true.
It could happen.
it could happen.
The only thing that we obviously haven't tested is like if you run it like this, docked, will it heat up because the circulation is not as good? You know, it's no longer
It's
at
the
the
fan at
top,
the
it's
top
at
there,
the
right?
front.
Yeah.
We don't know that yet. You could definitely do that, but then again, it's also not that tall.
And also, the top
it's
of
so
your
small.
entertainment center will look lovely. No, I mean, I don't know. I think it's all right, but
I
it
think
is
it's a
branded.
Nice looking dock.
Yeah,
The back looks ugly, but obviously that's the part you're supposed to hide.
yeah, exactly.
Just it's got so many little.
You can also
Bit.
super glue it to the side of your credenza.
You know, what could be
Forever.
cool if someone gets some kind of thing to connect it to a wall, like just a wall mount, so you could just have it sitting somewhere independently on a wall, and then you just take it out as you leave.
Put the cables through the wall, make it all fancy. Yeah.
Why don't
do
they
it.
do that?
Tear down my house.
All right, well, there you have it. Nintendo Voice Chat for the week of February 23rd, and Switch launches next week. That's a big deal. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. We have a special episode coming up all about the launch and what's left to say. I mean, we'll definitely have played more launch games. We'll have more to talk about with 1-2 Switch and Just Dance and Bomberman. There's so many things to talk about. So make sure you check back here either on the podcast feed or on youtube.com/Nintendo Voice Chat. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Alana. Thank you, Per. Where can they find you on the internet? Go
At the Peer IGN.
as the IGN.
I am at Charolanazad.
At Tarega_Fraga. It's
All
2
right.
G's in each one.
And make sure you check out SafePoint. That is a big deal. Big thing you should check out. Very cool in terms of what's happening.
Yeah,
and
it'll
it's
be on,
for a foundation that really deserves the help.
Yeah, it'll be on youtube.com/IGN, twitch.tv/IGN, and Facebook as well. So
Yeah, everywhere, or just on the IGN homepage.
IGN
Bam.
homepage, yeah. Basically everywhere that you can watch this, it will be.
Sweet. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back next week with more Nintendo Voice Chat.
Goodbye.